Welcome, niche website builders. Good to do the transition. It's going to be even slicker than ever today because I'm recording from we're streaming from a hotel room. So we have the niche website builders in-person team meeting or company meeting, which we do once every couple of months. So I'm in Cardiff at the moment, hence the poor quality camera and probably the poor quality audio. So I apologize for that. So it's going to be even slicker because I've got no mouse, one screen. So expect what you usually get.
Expect fireworks.
Cool. So who we got here already? We got Birdie, we got Daniel, we got Adrian, Bill. I think done Bill, Brian, Gustavo, Sophie, Maeve, and Tony. Tony's back. Tony, were you featured on the last stream? I don't know if you saw that, but if you watched it back, were you featured on the last stream with your t-shirt on? We'll get you out again later as model. And and Adrian. So welcome. Thanks everyone for coming along. So as always, if you are new around here, do not forget to like and subscribe. That's the wrong one. Oh, that's the wrong one. Yeah, like and subscribe. See, I told you it'd be slick. I can't see anything on this small screen. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new around here to see all the shows as they pop up. And it'll be, just the more people get on the stream, the more fun it's been as time's gone on. So don't forget to do that. Also, Bill reminded us last time, but in my era, I've remembered this time. Building Empires event. If you're not already registered, we've got lots of great speakers. We've got Income School, we got Zoic, we have, who else we've got? Doug Cunnington, Alex Cooper from WP Eagle,
Flipper, Doug Cunnington,
Craig
Campbell,
Yeah.
loads.
Flipper and Empire Flippers. So sign up. It's free to register at building.empires.live. It's 7th to 9th of June. It's an online event, so no need to travel. We'll come to you. Should be a good event. Planning to do lots of different things, like there'll be talks and there'll be also panels. So we'll have multiple people on the stream you can shoot questions at as well. So that should be fun. Last but not least, if you want some merch, I haven't got my mug today. If you want some merch, don't forget to like. If we get to 35 likes, we'll give away some free merch at the end of the show. So t-shirt, a cap, or a mug at the moment. Awesome. Cool. So today's show, we're talking about Tomb Raiding SEO, which is something we came up with, right?
Yep. You came up with, your wife came up with it, didn't she? Didn't Alice?
My wife came up with the name, yeah. So we had this, we've been using this. There's a method for keyword research that we've been using for a long time now, actually, but we've kind of just used it internally, haven't really spoken about it. And it's really like a process-driven way of, or I can't think of the right word, but like a template, a way that we've to consistently do a certain kind of competitor keyword research, basically. Systemized, yeah. So the idea being is that we want to make sure that we can get good results and the same results for our clients, like every time that we do this. So a bit like a McDonald's burger, wherever you go, you want to get the same one. You want to get the same quality or not of the burger every time. We want to make sure that we could systemize the way that we do this. So we came up with a way to systemize it. It's been really effective. It works really well. I love it. I use it on all my sites as a go-to pretty much for new sites that I'm start or sites that I'm working on. So we decided to like share it with everybody and see if they can get similar kind of results to us. And we'd love to hear anybody who's kind of seeing good results from this. So we started sharing it. We started talking about it a couple of months ago. There is a video already talking about Tomb Raiding SEO at a high level, like a podcast that we did. So it's back on our channel if you want to check that out. But today we thought we'd go into a little bit more detail by going through a specific example using one of the age domains that we have in our inventory available for sale on the site. But we thought we'd go take you through our step-by-step how we do that for an age domain. So at this point, I'll stop talking, Adam, and I'll hand that over to you.
Cool. Yeah. So it's going to be split into two. So the first part will be like the presentation style, where we'll talk about the aspects and why, like, what is this method and why we think it works and how it's structured and stuff. And then, like Mark said, we'll have a look at a specific example. It's quite time consuming. So rather than do it like live on the stream, because we would never get it done in an hour, I did it and then I split it into a couple of stages and I got them on a spreadsheet on a different tab so you can see what stage 1, 2, 3, 4 looks like, etc. So we'll just run through those then at the end. This is what it looks like. This is what we've done. These are the tools we've used. These are the results, and we can look at it from that way. So let's kick it off.
As always, don't forget to ask questions. Ask questions throughout. We'll try and get to them as we go. I'll keep an eye on them as Adam's talking, and we'll try and take questions, straight away as they come, as they're relevant as we go. So feel free to ask questions as you go. We'll at least, at the very least, we'll catch them at the end if nothing else.
Awesome. So if you've listened to any of our streams, we've talked about Tomb Raiding, you kind of already know what it is. So I'm not going to dwell too much on what is Tomb Raiding SEO, but as it says, in short, it's a clearly defined, like, systemized approach to keyword research that we've given a name to. Hey, Maeve, you've been Tomb Raiding all morning.
That's awesome. I love that.
I hope you mean Tomb Raiding keyword research style.
I hope so, yeah.
And basically, yeah, it's a combination of competitor research and correlation SEO, and we'll talk about that. So it's not just about the keywords we get; it's also how we structure the content that we then go and write. So you can use it as a bit of both. Look at what keywords you should write and then how you should structure that content. And Tomb Raiding SEO covers both of those angles, both of those aspects. What Tomb Raiding SEO is not, keen to point this out, this is not something new. This is not something magical. This is not something me and Mark invented. It's a system that we put together, but like you say, it's a system that we've used on our own sites and has kind of evolved over time. But we're not the only people to be doing this. We've just basically called it a name because we use it so often. And we put a name to it and we put like some kind of structure and definition around it. But it's not brand new, it's not magic or anything like that. And when we go through it, you'll see it's really just a set of logical steps that we follow. It's not like some kind of secret sauce that we keep in secret and hidden. It's literally just like steps of logic where when you get to the end, you're like, oh yeah, if you've never done it before, why didn't I think of doing my keyword research this way? And the other thing to point out is that it's not the only keyword research method you're going to need. So we talked in our stream on Tuesday about a different type of keyword research where we look for like listicle type keywords. And at the end as well, on the example that I'm going to show you, we can also use the Tomb Raiding SEO to give us ideas on how we can also search for other kinds of keywords in and around the same topic and expand our keyword research that way too. So prerequisite for Tomb Raiding SEO, and this ties in nicely with this question here from D. What is the lowest DR you'd use for Tomb Raiding? In order to use this technique, like, you've got to have a website that has some authority. It can't be a brand new website. This doesn't work, and you'll see why in a little bit. But essentially, it's either an established website that you already have, or if you're working with an age domain that already has a backlink profile and authority, this works really well. If it doesn't, then you can't use this method. You have to use a different method. To answer D's question specifically, what's the lowest DR you'd use Tomb Raiding on? There's no right or wrong answer, really speaking. It depends on the niche that you're in. Some niches, you'll be able to find tons of really low DR websites that have tons of traffic and are doing a really good job. Other niches that are more competitive, you won't be able to find as many low DR sites. So really speaking, it depends.
I'd say none really. Like arguably, when you very first start a site, there's nobody lower than you. You are the lowest in the niche when you start on day one. That said, there's no reason why you couldn't target some that are a little bit higher than yourself, and still use that technique to dig some out. So It just works better when you've got some age. But
Yeah.
I think you could use it anyway. But
yeah, and you'll see later on in the example that we look at, it's useful sometimes to leave websites that are a bit more authoritative than you in there as aspirational targets, in the knowledge that you're going to be putting out content, and you're going to be putting out more content, and potentially you're also going to be doing link building. So over time, you're going to move up that list and be more authoritative than them anyway. That's a mouthful. So yeah. But I would say if you're wondering, like, can you use it, do the research, do the process that we're going to talk about today, and just see where you sit in that competitive landscape. Once you've done your research, it'll become clear if your site is too low of a DR for you to use this method, I think. Okay, so broken down step by step, it really is quite simple. It's find a list, a big list of your competitors. The bigger, the better. Calculate where you sit in that competitive landscape. And what I mean by that is calculate where you sit in terms of domain authority. Raid the competitors. That's where the name comes from. Raid the competitors for their best performing articles. We know that most websites go by what's the rule? Is it it's not paleo rule. What's the 80-20 rule called?
The 80-20 rule.
There's a name for it. It begins with P. I can't think what it is. But basically, the 80-20 rule. We know that most websites, 20% of their content drives 80% of their traffic, and we're going to raid the competitors for
Pareto.
Yes, that's it. And then once we have the list of articles, we're going to correlate the content with the weakest competitors. And by that, we mean we're just going to look at how they're structured to make sure our content is structured the same. And then last but not least, how do we approach, once we've got our list, how do we know which articles to write first? And it's really simple, like spoiler alert, we're just going to work top to bottom from traffic levels, highest first, and work our way down. So that's it in a nutshell. And the rest of the presentation will be going into these in a bit more detail. So the first one, finding a big list of competitors. The whole strategy is made or broke here. And to do this well, you have to spend time at the start building your list of competitors. Like the bigger the list that you have at the start, the better the results you'll see from this type of research. And you can use lots of different tools and methods to find lists of competitors that are in your space. But to get you started, like the easiest way that we find is if you've got SEMrush or Ahrefs, go to the tool, put in a couple of keywords, and then click on questions and start Googling common questions that appear in the niche. And then just looking on Google what the results come up. And you're not looking for big, you wouldn't put in PC Mag, for example, or you wouldn't put in New York Times or anything like that. You're looking for niche specific websites. So in the case that we're going to look at later, it's a brewing website. I wouldn't be looking at, massive national brands or anything like that. I'll be looking for niche websites, typically other content blogs that have content or that answer the question and come up in the search results in Google when you Google those initial questions. And once you've got a couple of those competitors, you can then go back to Ahrefs or SEMrush and you can put it in, and then you can go to the competitors tab and you can see all the list of competitors that they think it has. And you can pull those out and add them to your spreadsheet and check, is this a content site? Is this an affiliate site that does this look like a site that I want to, imitate? And then once you have that list, you can start again and you can go back through the ones, the competitors that SEMrush and Ahrefs find, and put those back in and look at their competitors. And it's almost like you can spend all day doing it. It's like a rabbit hole. You can never have a list too big, I don't think. Anything I missed out on that one, Mark?
No, I think that's good.
Yeah. And just an example on this one, in SEMrush, you can go to the organic research page and click on the competitors tab, and it basically looks like this. So you put in the URL at the top, and then you click on competitors, and it gives you a list of all the organic competitors. And then, like I say, you can open these in new tabs, make sure they are the kind of sites that you want that fit the criteria. And then if they are, add them to your spreadsheet, and if they're not, get rid of them, and then keep doing the same thing over and over and over again until you've got a massive list. At this point, we don't even know what kind of strength these are, so it's important to say your list should be massive, because we're going to make it into a shortlist pretty soon. So the bigger this list, the better your shortlist will become. Well, kind of mentioned this, but the other way is to just Google it. So supplement your list with sites that won't show up in Ahrefs and SEMrush just by Googling the keywords. And I don't know how SEMrush or Ahrefs come up with a competitor list, but you typically find the lower authority sites, the like real diamonds that we're looking for in this method when you are searching Google for keywords and you get to like page 2 or 3 or 4. Like, don't be afraid to go past the first page when you're looking for competitors for this. And the other thing I'll say is, don't be judgmental about the URL name when you're looking on Google, because I've seen some gems of websites that, unless I'd clicked on them and opened them, I would never have thought, just judging by the URL name, that they would have been a good competitor or something like that. So make sure you do this diligently and you click the link and you open it and you have a look at the website and you have a look what content they have and add it to the list if you think it's right.
Yeah.
Pro tip: review your list. So when I do this now, I don't look at the websites as I go. I literally just open them up in Google, or I won't even open them up. I'll just take the URL and put them in my spreadsheet. But what you want to do at this point is try and trim that list down by looking at the websites, opening them up, and seeing, are they content websites? Because really, we're making a content website at the end of the day. We're making a content or an affiliate website. We want to look for other content or affiliate websites to imitate, to see what content they have. So that typically means removing e-commerce stores or removing news websites that may have an article that just happens to rank about the topic because they got a news article about it, or something like that, or it's a SaaS product, or like remove anything that's not really a content or another affiliate site. Unless, and this is the caveat, unless it's a national website or a big, like an e-commerce website that has a blog. So for example, this is a far out example, but if you were in the credit space and you look at Experian, you probably would never have a domain that would be above those in terms of authority, but they've got over 1,000 pieces of content, of blog content, to talk about building your credit score and that kind of stuff. So if you could find people like Experian, but with much less lower authority, that have a really expansive blog, it would be okay to include those in the list as well. So once you have that list, and hopefully this will all make sense when you see the examples in a little bit, but once you have that list, you've basically got a spreadsheet with a list of X amount of domains in. Now you want to start gathering metrics for each of those domains. And we typically pull out 6 different ones. So we pull out domain rating and URL rating, or UR, from Ahrefs. We pull out domain authority and page authority from Moz, and then trust flow and citation flow from Majestic. And we add those into the separate columns, and then we add them up to give us like a total score. And this gives us a rough idea, a rough guide of, just nothing to do with content, just based on the backlink profile and these third-party metrics, how powerful these websites are. Like, the higher the score, the more powerful, obviously. And when you do this, you put your domain or your website in the list as well. And that gives you an idea, once you order that list highest to lowest, kind of where you sit in the landscape. So if you've got 100 sites in there and you are middle of the pack, then you're doing a pretty good job. Like, your domain authority is like midway for all the decent competitors that you can find. And this is the point where you think, if you've got a site with 0 authority or very little authority and you've only got like 1 competitor below you, like, maybe Tomb Raiding is not right at this time. You need a bit more authority. And the whole aim of this thing, or the whole aim with this, is it's forever evolving. So currently, today, like right now, you might be middle of the pack, but do this every 6 months, or as you do link building, or as you evolve your website. And the plan basically is to move up that landscape and to unlock new competitors below you, and that will open up new content opportunities and new keyword opportunities, until, like, ideally, you're at the top of the list and you are the authority site in the space because you're top of everyone and you've taken all their best content, essentially.
I like that's like an achievement. Competitor unlocked.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's like competitor unlock, content unlock, keyword unlock. So yeah, I've just kind of gone over this, but simply add up the metrics to give you a total, and it crudely identifies the sites that are more authoritative than yours and the ones which are less authoritative. Just the caveat here, these are all third-party metrics and they're not endorsed by Google, obviously. But you've got to use something, right? Like you've got to, if you're trying to figure out how authoritative a website is, you've got to use some kind of metric. And that's the reason why we use 2 metrics from 3 different providers, because they can all be flawed. Like we know for a fact that on the low end of sites, like sites with a low DR, trust flow and citation flow is definitely not super accurate. And then on the flip side, we see some sites with a massive DR rating with like 200 referring domains, and you think, how have they got a DR 50 with 200 referring domains? Doesn't quite make sense. So these are all kind of like flawed metrics, but it's the best we've got, and we've got to work with something. So we say that it crudely gives you an idea of where you are on that landscape, but it's crude because it's based on third-party metrics. Mm-hmm. This is kind of what that table looks like. I'll show you a real-life example in a bit, but essentially you can see that we've pulled out UR and DR, DA, PA, TF, and CF and added them all up. And the one highlighted in yellow is our website. So we can see middle of the pack, there's plenty of stronger competitors above us, but there's also plenty of weaker competitors below us. And if we have a look, there's a couple there. There's a DR0 and a DR4 and a DR7 and a DR1. So we know that there's competitors in our space that have much weaker backlink profiles than us, which should give us a good opportunity to see what kind of content they're using and they're ranking for. So once we have that table, now we're going to take a closer look of the websites that are just below us in the list. So the ones which have a weaker backlink profile. And I'd also recommend including a couple that are just a little bit above you, just as aspirational kind of competitors. Because like I say, these are third-party metrics. It's not an exact science. It's not like the site above you, because they've got one more point than you, you're never going to be able to outrank them anymore. Like, take it with a pinch of salt. So a few above you and everyone below you, they become our target list. They become the sites that we want to look at, and we want to see what kind of content is working best for those. And to do that, you can use Ahrefs or SEMrush, but we then add in the traffic metrics for these websites, total traffic for the whole website. And that'll give us an idea of all the weaker sites and all the weaker sites that have a decent amount of traffic. And ideally, we'll be able to find in there some hidden gems. And sometimes you can find crazy sites with, like DR3s getting hundreds of thousands of visits per month, and you think, how is that even possible? They're obviously doing something with the content. And it's those kind of websites then that you're able to pick out and pinpoint that might never have found doing traditional keyword research, but now you've got them and you can see, try and reverse engineer what they've done.
It's not that uncommon, is it, either? Like,
no,
we see websites overperforming their authority all the time. And not always and not in every niche, but it comes up more often than you think, that you find these really good sites that are overperforming.
What I love as well, I always get excited whenever I see a website with the Acabado theme, the income school theme, because I know they do a great job with their content. They teach people how to do really good content, but they teach them not to build links. So they've usually got websites full of awesome content that don't have any authority. And like, this is a gold mine, because we know they've done really good research on what content to write and how to structure it, but they don't have any authority. So you find a site like that, and there's a gold mine, basically. So yeah, once we've got that list of websites, we then do a deeper dive into them, and we start pulling out, using SEMrush, pull out all of the articles that they have with their corresponding traffic for every URL. And then we order that list kind of highest to lowest, and that gives us an idea of what's the best performing pieces of content on those weaker competitors, because we've literally got it. We've got a list then of the URL, the monthly traffic for each URL, and we can see, okay, well, this is a DR2 website. This specific piece of content on there gets 10,000 visits per month. what does that look like? Like, why is that one piece of content on this really weak website getting tons of content? And you can click on it and you can have a little look to see how it's structured. What kinds of topics are in there? Have they, how have they structured their article? What are the subheadings? What are the H tags? Do they have, is it an image post? Is it a best of guide? Is it a Q&A type piece of content? And that gives us a clue to unlock, well, if we've got more authority and we imitate the same structure and the same style, and we cover the same topics, and we want to point out that we don't mean copy them. We don't mean copy and paste them or anything like that, because you can get into trouble with copyright and get like a DMCA file against you, etc. But essentially, you want to make your piece of content to cover the same topics, ideally with the same number of headings, not saying the same things, but the same number of headings. And then we've got to think, okay, well, that's great, but we also want to make our piece of content slightly better. How do you do that? And we always round up the word count. So if they've got 1,000 words, then we'll have 1,200 words, and we'll do the same topics, but then we'll also maybe include an FAQ at the end, which makes our piece just that little bit more authoritative, just makes it a little bit more in depth. So we cover just a couple more topics than those guys.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, we need to decide which articles to write first. And I kind of spoiled it at the start, but simply order the list highest to lowest in terms of traffic numbers. And then we write the articles with the highest traffic volumes first. And that's it. Like, it's really not complicated, because we want to go after the lowest hanging fruit, which has the most opportunity to pay off in terms of traffic. So that's how we it's really simple. I felt like I'd have more to say on this slide, but that's kind of it. There's nothing else to say. And then the results. So if you haven't watched our Age Domain Tuesday stream from this week, Mark did a case study from one of his own websites where he'd built the site to 400,000 visits per month in 13 months. Should go into here in 13 months. And is it only the Tomb Raiding method you've used for this website, Mark, or something else as well?
Yeah, just Tomb Raiding.
Yeah, so Mark's built this website to almost $5,000 a month in 13 months with a ton of content, looking at what's performing well for competitors, and then doing exactly what we've just done, imitating them, doing a slightly better job, making sure he covers the same topics, and it works. Like, it works for clients, it works for our own sites. It works awesome if you do a good job of this research. And now a real life example. So I'm going to share my screen and show you what a real life example of this looks like. Now, I know last time people couldn't quite see, or there's some kind of issue when I transition to share my screen. So hopefully that's not the case this time. And I'll zoom in a little bit so everyone can see.
Yeah, I think I might get rid of us for this part. Whoa, cowboy.
It's good on you.
Yeah, I'm just going to try and get rid of us because...
Whoa. There we go.
That's it. Got it.
Cool. Yeah, so what I've done here, I've done a Tomb Raiding plan for a domain that's going to be coming up for sale on our inventory this week. It's called mittenbrew.com. It's about brewing. It's an age domain about brewing. It's a DR27, so it fits nicely in terms of having authority, and it works well for this kind of plan. So the way that I've done this and approached this is, like I say, it would take too long to do the whole process live on stream. So I've done it, and then I've broken it down into what the stages look like at different parts. And I've also broken down what the tools are and the instructions. So to get to this point, essentially, it's Google some typical questions, i.e. how to brew craft beer at home, make a list of the websites that focus on our niche specifically, use Ahrefs and SEMrush to find more competitors, use Ahrefs to add in the UR and DR. We use this website called linkod.com. It's this, you go to the bottom, it's a website authority checker, and you can check, you don't have to have a subscription to Majestic to check the trust flow and citation flow. put the URL in here and click see authority. You have to put a captcha. You have to do the captcha thing every time. This is a bit annoying, but it's free and you don't need a subscription to Majestic. So that's the tool we use to pull out the trust flow and citation flow. And then we use another free tool. If you don't have a subscription to Moz, you can come to website.seochecker.com and put in the URLs here and pull out the DA and PA as well. So the only thing you really need a subscription for here is to Ahrefs to pull out the UR and DR. But the others you can get for free. You don't need subscriptions to the other tools. And then we add all the data together and then order highest to lowest. So in this case, we can see that there's 58 competitors in this list, and they range everything from DR1s all the way up to kind of DR70s, DR74. And if we add up all of these numbers together, we get this total number at the end, and we order it highest to lowest, and we can basically see that we are pretty much in the middle of the pack. So there's 34 websites below us and 23 above us, which is good because this gives us the idea that there's loads of opportunity if we continue growing the website and building the authority above us, but also there's loads of opportunity below us because there's lots of other websites below us as well. So this part should be self-explanatory. This is probably one of the most time-consuming parts, is just finding this list, pulling this list together. And if you haven't got a subscription, is doing them one by one in these tools to pull out the different metrics, because it's a pain with the captcha. But once you have it, you have it. And then this is stage 2. And for this, we use SEMrush. And what we do is we remove all of the stronger competitors. So you can see this list is much shorter. It's all of the people below us, the sites below us. And we've left a couple in that are just above us. These are the aspirational competitors. And I've also removed all of the ones then. So I did that first of all. And then I went to SEMrush and I pulled out all of the traffic data for each of the websites so we can see how much traffic each one of these are getting. And then I deleted everything that gets less than 1,000 visits per month, even if they are smaller, because that's probably not going to be in our target. We're not going to be able to Tomb Raid much off a website that's only generating 1,000 visits per month. So got rid of everything else, and we're left now with a list of competitors that's just 28. So we've cut our list down from 60 odd or 60 down to 28. So we've halved it. And one thing I just want to point out and make a note of is you should always look for sites like this to be in your list. So it doesn't have a ton of traffic. It only got 2,600 visits according to SEMrush. But if you look at it, it's a year old, the site, and it's on a big upward trajectory. So sites like this get you excited, especially if they are, it's a DR8 and it's gone from nothing to 2,600 with a low authority in a year, or less than a year in that space. Like, they're awesome to have in the list because they're up and coming, they're growing, they must be doing something right if they're growing. And if they're weaker than you and you can do at least the same job of the content and hopefully better, there's a good chance that you can take some of that growth away from them and you can grow like that rather than them. Obviously, that's the aim of the game. So this is the list then. And once we have this list, we then need to do something else with it, which is basically still in SEMrush, go into SEMrush. Once you've got once you've got the domain in there, go to the organic positions page and then click on this pages tab right here. And then you can export, and this exports all of the pages this website has along with the monthly traffic for each individual page. So if you do that for all of the competitors, so all of the competitors here and the ones above you, if you do that for them all, you'll end up with, in this case, 28 spreadsheets based on the exports here, 28 exports from here. And once you have that, you need to combine them together. Now, there's a trick to do this. I don't know how to do it in G Sheets, but you can do it in Excel, where you download all the Excel sheets, put them into one folder on your desktop. If you open up Excel and then go to Insert Data from Source, and you can literally select that folder, and as long as they're all structured the same way, Excel will combine all of those 28 sheets for you together into one sheet. Otherwise, you're going to be there manually doing it, which again is fine, but it's a little bit time consuming. And once you have that, you'll end up with a list that's like this then. So you've got all of the different URLs from all of the different competitors. And if we order it highest to lowest, what we end up with is obviously a list of URLs in order of traffic. So we can see like what are the best performing pieces of content across all of those weaker competitors now. We can look down this list, and in this case, I stopped at every URL that's driving at least 100 visitors per month. This number is subjective. You can stop wherever you want, really. But if we think this number is at least half, typically, of what the real number is, like the SEMrush number is usually half of what the real number is, like you've got to weigh up time and cost of content versus visitors. And I think if you've put out a piece of content and you've got at least 200 visitors per month from it, in my eyes, it's worth the investment, the time or money invested into that piece of content to drive those 200 visitors. Because over time, that's going to be 2,000 visitors per year, essentially, or more. But you can stop wherever you want, essentially. You can stop at 200 or 300. You can just take the top 1,000, whichever you feel like, really. And you've got this list. Now, this list on its own, I think is useful because you can go through and you can have a look at what the top pieces of content are and, like I say, see how they're structured, what are they talking about. But we can make this list so much better. Like, there's so much more information we can add to this list, but you need another tool for it. And if I open this one up, you'll need Screaming Frog. I don't know any other way to pull out this data without using Screaming Frog. And what that allows you to do is you can put in the URLs and then you can scrape what the competitor titles are. So you get all the titles as well to go along. So you don't have to open up each URL to see what the exact title is that they're targeting. You can also use Screaming Frog to pull out the H1 tags as well and the meta description if you wanted to, have a fuller understanding about what that piece of content is looking after. And then importantly, you can also pull out the word count for each piece of content as well. So this kind of completes the picture now. Now we've got the URL, the title, the traffic that is driving, and also the corresponding word count. And it's important to know that, like I say, we round this up. So this piece, I think, was like 700 words or whatever. So it's rounded up to 800. And this is like 2,400 or 2,500. It's rounded up. And that gives us that little bit of cushion room to add our FAQs or make our piece of content better. And then what you have, obviously, you've now got a list, which is same as it was in stage 3, but a lot more useful. The only problem with this list now is because it covered 28 competitors, there's going to be duplicates in here. Like, of those 28 competitors, it's almost certain that some of them have covered the same topics, and you don't want to have 4 pieces of content in your website that cover the same topic. So you need to be quite diligent at this point and go through and remove the duplicates. And I'll just order this because I haven't done that step on this one because it's very time consuming. But if I order this A to Z, we can see there was, where was it? How to brew beer. So how to home brew beer. You've got, well, in this case, one of the competitors has it as the title for 2 pieces of content, which is a bit strange. Or maybe I've pulled that out wrong from Screaming Frog because that doesn't look right. But essentially what you wouldn't want to do is have 4 of the competitors all targeting the same keywords or the same title, and you have 4 on your own website. So you need to go through this list and double check there's no duplicates before you get started.
Well, another step I do here, which kind of helps with the deduplication, is because I use Ahrefs generally rather than SEMrush to get this kind of list out. And I think they both do it, but Ahrefs certainly has the what was it called? Like the number one ranking keyword.
Number 1 keyword, yeah.
So yeah, I bring that into it, and then it doesn't catch everything, but it catches a lot. So if you've got the same number 1 ranking keyword for different articles, you can deduplicate those quite quickly. Yeah,
that's a great tip. SEMrush doesn't do that. So maybe Ahrefs is another step to add in there to do that, to pull up the top keywords.
The other thing I do as well, as an additional step, maybe something we should think about adding into our process as well. But is I also put the rank of that number one position keyword, because you might find an article that's getting 1,000 visitors a month, but it's positioned 5 or 6. So then I go and essentially Google that and or put it into Ahrefs again and go, well, what's in positions 1 to 5 then? And is there another site that I've missed that could be added to my Tomb Raiding list? Actually, oh yeah, there's this one in like position 1, which is I can compete against and compete with. And I swap out the URL basically then for that new competitor. That's just like an additional step as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely good advice and good tips. There's a question here from D, which is I think is good. It's when you just throw it back in Excel and just do the remove duplicates. I really wish it was that simple, but it's not, because you've got to remember that these are not keywords, and even if they are keywords, like if you do it like Mark says, it doesn't also cover intent. So you can have two titles that are different, and they wouldn't be picked up in the remove duplicates because they're not exactly the same, but they cover the same intent. So this deduplication part is crucial, but it is really hard, to be honest. And the bigger the plan, the harder it is to remove the deduplicate it. But I probably should have found an example of two in here with the same intent.
Yeah, go up. You will go up to the top under the green one. How many ounces in a pitcher of beer? Yeah, maybe those might be.
Yeah, these two are not, and we know they're not because they're on. This is a quick way to check because they're on the same website. So if they're from the same URL, and they get traffic, typically you can assume that they're doing all right. Otherwise, if they weren't, if they were duplicate,
yeah, probably, yeah.
So, but it might be. Search
that
for
makes
ounces. Sense. Oh, here we go. So yeah, this is great. How many ounces in a pitcher of beer and how many ounces are in a bottle of beer? Both are on soundbrewery.com. And then we come down here, and on Brew Together, we've got how many ounces of beer are there in growlers? Growlers? Is this terminology I'm not familiar with?
Growlers in the US.
Growlers and howlers.
There's different words for different places, yeah.
Yeah, potentially. So I don't know if that's the same as a bottle of beer, potentially.
A growler's a jug. Like a jug of beer. Pitcher, basically.
How many ounces in a bottle of wine? So that's fine. And then how many ounces are in a shot? That's fine. How many ounces in a gallon? How can I calculate alcohol consumption? So there's nothing duplicate in terms of how many ounces, I guess, across here. But realistically, the way you have to do this, and it is really hard, is in G Sheets, just do a search and go through manually and check. So, and I would do this by looking for like what's common in this title. So 7 highest alcohol content beers. I might look for the word content to see, like this one, beer alcohol content. Is that the same as this? And in all honesty, you don't know until you open up both pieces of content and look, is the intent the same here now? So this is 7 highest alcohol content beers. Whoa, got the ads on there. And this just looks like it's, what are the highest alcohol brewing beers? And then this one talks about the same kind of thing, I think. Talks about brands and their ABVs. But I don't think it's the same intent, because this one doesn't talk about the highest. This just talks about a list of them. So this one, you probably have to read the content to understand if it was actually like a duplicate intent or not. But just on face value, it looks like they would be targeting a different kind of intent there. And then do the same again. So how many shots are in a pint? And I would probably look for the word pint in this one, because you can't ask the same question, how many shots are in a pint, without using the word pint. What is a pint of bitter? A pint or a flight? No. So yeah, there's no duplicate in there as well in terms of that one. But you can see how this would time consuming, because you have to do this for them all basically and go through the list to make sure there's no duplicates. But it's a really important step.
Yeah, and if you're not sure, you want to Google it and then look at what the results are in the SERPs. Did you mention that already? What the results are in the SERPs? So if there's ones you're not sure if it's the same intent, the way you can find out if it's the same intent is if you get the same results in the SERPs by searching for the searching for each, basically.
I've got a great example of that one. So best golf balls for old people, best golf balls for seniors. So this used to be, I can't remember, I don't know if it still is, but best golf balls for seniors returns best golf balls for seniors and best golf balls for seniors, as you would expect. And if you Google best golf balls for old people, the intent isn't for old people, it's for seniors. And if you have a piece of content targeting best golf balls for old peoples and you didn't mention anywhere about seniors, you would never rank, because Google interprets best golf balls for old people as the intent being best golf balls for seniors. So even if this had search volume and you created a piece of content on there, because the intent is wrong, you would never rank with that piece of content. So I think that's a real life example of two terms that mean the same thing but show different results, or the same results. But yeah, what Mark was trying to say in a nutshell, basically.
Yeah, good example.
And then once you have that, once you've removed all the duplicates, you can then start organizing this into categories, because at the moment it's a a bit of everything from all the websites. You can then start looking at it and trying to organize it into like logical categories. Are you going to have a category on beers and pilsners? Are you going to have a category on spirits? Are you going to have a category on food pairings with beer? Or what, I don't know if that's a thing. I know it's food pairings with wine. I don't know if it's the same with beer. But try and figure out what the categories could be as you create this content. And then the other thing, which is good for, like, it's good to do after you've got this list. If you watched our live stream on Tuesday, we did a bit more keyword research about kind of like expansive lists. We were looking at cool wildlife, the cool wildlife domain that we're selling, and we looked at like a different type of keyword research, which is all about listicles and how you can use them to expand the keyword research. You can do something similar here. You can look through this list and you can try and find content ideas that are not tomb raiding. So like we mentioned at the start, tomb raid is not the only keyword research method. So for example, I was looking down this list and I saw how many shots of vodka to get drunk. And I thought, can you replace the word vodka with all of the other spirits, all the other drinks? And are they good keywords? And I looked over here and we've got how many shots of tequila to get drunk. We always take keyword difficulty score with a pinch of 0, but a keyword difficulty score of 1, a decent search volume. And how many shots of whiskey and Fireball and Malibu and rum and Tito's and gin. Like, you can carry on expanding that list there. Another example was 10 best chasers for tequila. Okay, well, what chasers for what other drink? We got good chasers for vodka and chasers for Hennessy and chasers for Fireball again. And the other one I saw was Tennessee beer laws in 2022. Okay, well, are people searching for other states, beer laws in other states? And we've got Texas beer laws and Utah beer laws and Oklahoma and Mississippi. And then the other one was this apple wine recipe. All right, well, there's bound to be more wine recipes, right? And there are loads. So you've got strawberry wine recipe and wine slushy recipes and peach wine recipes. So you can use this to get your initial list and do all this kind of content. And then you can also use it to expand your keyword research and then pull, just keep going. Like, the whole aim of these websites ideally is that we grow it into an authority site, and you want to cover as much of the topic as possible. And to do that, you need to utilize as many keyword research methods as possible. And this is just a good way of giving you ideas to do this other kind of keyword research.
Awesome.
And that's it. That's my Tomb Raiding SEO in 50 minutes.
Good work. Good work.
Stop sharing.
So there's a few good comments. Before we go into the comments, though, do not forget to like and subscribe. 35 likes, we get the giveaway. We've got, how many have we got at the moment? We're up to 23, so we still got 12 to go. So we need a few more. We've got 26 people on stream at the moment. It's been fluctuating up and down. So yeah, get liking. We'll come back. Any questions as well? Feel free to shout. But I've got a few things here. So there's a question from Spain. I've read that a site can compete with another site if it has half as much DA, e.g. to compete with a DA50 site, for a given keyword, you need at least a DA50. Does this sound realistic? I've never heard that as a thing. I don't know about you, Adam.
I think there's always going to be outliers as well, right? You're always going to find sites with, DA25 competing with an outranking DA50. But I think on the whole, you would struggle. Like it's just and again, these are third-party metrics. We take them with a pinch of salt. Maybe it's a DA25 according to the third-party tools, but maybe like the backlink profile, the tools have missed something in their algorithm how they come up with it being a DA25. So yeah, I
wouldn't go after like up to you want to cherry pick the right articles and the right keywords, which is what the tomb raiding method helps you do. Actually, helps you find those. Well, you might not be able to compete with everything against the DA50 site, but there might be certain stuff that you can compete against higher authority sites. So I wouldn't think of it just through DA and what you can compete, and then think that you can just put out a keyword list from a site more authoritative and compete with it. I think that's flawed. You want to do some. You want to take a different approach to that. That's what I need to find, says Tony. Some DR3s with loads of views. Yes, what we're all looking for. Okay, you sorted that out, I think, Sam. Here to drop a like. Really cool.
Hey, Carly.
Excellent, Carly. Yeah, hope it lived up to expectations. Thanks for sharing the wisdom. Such good info in this episode, guys. Thanks, Tony, again. I've already built a fair list, but this takes it further so I can use it. Perfect. Yeah, let's know how you go with that, Tony. Let's know how they work out once they start ranking and everything as well. Great tips. Excel combines the entire folder. Thank you, says Richest Domains. And D.
If you don't know by now, I love Excel. So like, it's my favorite thing.
I've never used it. I always use a command line to combine my Excel sheets. So.
Yeah, you're on a Mac, that's right.
Well, you can do it with Windows as well.
Oh no.
Windows is the original command line. D, please can you stop buying on GoDaddy? Every time I lose a site, I normally find you two are selling it a week or two later. Makes me feel like I'm doing good due diligence. Yeah, sorry, D. Like, I guess it's an auction. But I mean, if you're finding the same sites as we are, I mean, we're very picky. We narrow down thousands of sites to just 4 or 5 a week probably that we're bidding on. So if you're bidding on the same ones as us, you're doing a good job, I would say. Cool. And yeah, D wants a drink now. Cool.
Wait, Thomas says how to avoid getting tomb raided then. Be better. Keep moving up the list, because the higher up that list you are in terms of authority, the harder you are to get tomb raided, right? Yeah.
So I think this is a 3x video. What does that mean? I will need to watch it another 2 times to take it all in. Definitely a great subject. Thanks, Mark and Adam. You're welcome. Thanks, Bill, for watching. Need to save this episode, rewatch it. Amazing information and gems. Thanks, Adrian. And Tony, currently at 75k page views PM per month, trying to push ahead. That's awesome. Well, that's already doing well. Already onto a good thing there, Tony. So keep going. Okay, how are we doing for likes? 28. Disappointing, huh?
Show the merch.
Time to show the merch.
What did you get that up? Adrian's asking. Sorry, you got another question up there.
No.
There we go.
Go ahead.
Do you guys do this method every 6 months? I mean, you should do it as often as you feel like your authority is moving up. Like whenever you feel like you've got to the point where you've that list, the landscape might have changed, either because you've got more authority or it's been a significant amount of time that you feel like there's maybe new competitors come in, or you just feel like you can find new ones that you maybe couldn't have found 6 months ago. Just go back and do it. Like it, I wouldn't put a fixed time point on it. I would just go back to it like every couple of months if you can, whenever you get time, whenever you feel like there's been some kind of change that means that data has changed really. if you're actively doing link building and you're actively trying to build up your domain authority, then I would definitely look at revisiting it more often, though, because it's likely to have changed more often then.
Yeah, definitely. And new players come into the space. I mentioned on the stream on Tuesday when I was talking about my my site. There's definitely new players that have come into the space in the last 18 months since I started the site that are doing really well as well. Yeah.
So Sophie asked, what's the most common mistake with Tomb Raiding? Do you want to answer that one, Mark?
I don't know, because I don't know anyone who's doing it. Is making mistakes. Like, this is our way, and I guess we're doing it our way. I think something that would be a common mistake is what you mentioned. Probably is the most difficult part of filtering those pages out to avoid like duplicate intent. Like that's just the mistake would be just to take them and just use them and not thinking about the intent and doing that filtering. I think the mistake that people could make is just rushing that process, like finding that, getting really excited about finding the list. Just take ages finding that list of competitors, because we're already narrowing them down once we found that big list. So the more time you spend, the more effective it's going to be, because the more opportunities you're going to find, the more outlying sites you're going to find. So I think maybe a common mistake might be just trying to rush through it to get to your list. Just take your time over it. Take your time finding the sites, take your time filtering through, make sure that you've got good articles and not duplicate relevance and stuff like that. That's what I'd say, I think.
Or even better, like, I know this is a stream for education, but if you buy a content plan from each website builder, some content, we'll do the research for you as well. So you need to plug our services there a bit, Mark, as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, don't do it yourself. We can definitely.
How often do you guys Tomb Raid for a site? I think we just covered that one with Adrian's question. Like, it should be an ongoing process, pretty much like Adrian says, ongoing process, like adding content. You should be coming back to it every couple of months at least, having a look, seeing what's changed.
Yeah, when you want to, you get to the end of your list, your writers have written all your content, you need to refresh, just go at it again. And and we mentioned there's other techniques as well, and the expansion of the list can just go on quite often in many niches as well, as Adam mentioned. So what's that you got? Fly?
Like a little moth. Yeah, I don't know where that's come from.
Awesome.
Probably come out of my wife's purse.
Okay, I'm going to get out the merch. Here we go. So what I'd say is I'm going to get out the merch. I'm going to assume we're going to make the 35 likes. We will. So if you're interested in getting some of this beautiful looking merch, then type a comment in the chat, whether it's hello or goodbye or whatever you like, so that we can. It's just the way YouTube works. You're not going to get entered into the draw unless you've typed something in the next 2 minutes. Oh no, hang on.
Oh, by the way, these transitions, I'm not confident on Mark's transition ability because he's on one screen. I don't know if you're on a mouse or the trackpad. I don't know what's going to happen here. Stand by.
So, hang on, I'm trying to. This is the first time I've done this on.
Oh, and he's just left the stream. So I guess that's how it's going to go. That's how good it is. Let me see if I can find the merch. Presentations, merch. So while we wait for Mark to come back, let me add some music. I feel the pressure now. I feel the stress. Mark, what happened? I'm taking over. I'm taking over the merch and the transitions.
Go for it. Oh, hang on. That's not all the merch, is it though?
Oh, this is the thing. I don't know what presentation it is.
Yeah, let me bring it up. It's the first time I've done it on this computer, so I had to. Yeah, I foolishly pressed the button that says restart the browser, basically. Here we go. Boom! Do you see that?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
There we go.
There you go. There's we've got Ian, we've got Tony.
Tony rocking the merch.
And then we've got Tiffany as well, who's also a member of the Niche Website Builders team, wearing her merch too. So that's what it looks like with with it on. This is
Although Ian told me today he took the sticker off, so it comes with a snapback sticker on the what's that, on the peak, and he took it off, and now according to his wife, he's not cool anymore. So I don't know if that's a thing or not.
The snapback is just a bit at the back, right, though, with the plastic clasp, isn't
I have
it?
no idea.
I think it's just the way it fastens at the back with the plastic clip thing. So yeah, lots of different colours to choose from, different designs. If you win, tell us which ones you want. Got some mugs as well, and caps that Ian was showing off. So that is the merch. I'm gonna stop that because now I don't got to bring up everything else up that I had in my browser ready to do the draw. You do the talking.
Cool. So if you want to win some merch this week, we've done that, haven't we? Everyone's typed their comment in.
They should do.
Yeah.
Let me just get it up.
Yeah. Mark's doing that. I'm going to put on a bit of chill music. I'm going to put the chill on. We've got our niche website builder in team event tomorrow, which is going to be fun. So there's whoever's like within an hour or an hour and a half, I think, of Cardiff tomorrow is all going to be there. So we've got about, I think, 70 or 80 members of the team in Cardiff tomorrow for our meetup, which we do, in-person meetup, which we do every 2 months. So it's that's why Mark's in Cardiff, and it's going to be fun. It's awesome to see everyone, especially see everyone in a room like that. We keep joking that we're going to need to start hiring out the football stadium, like the Millennium Stadium, before long. With all the levels of staff we have. But yeah, it's really cool.
Awesome. I've got it up then. So, shall I share my screen? Try and do it again. I'm not going to be able to do transition and everything. I'll try it, but it's going to mess up. I'm using a tracker pad here. Okay, here we go. Let's do the draw.
Almost.
There you go. Here we go. It's the draw. Oh, it's slower as well on this one because I haven't set it up to be long.
Oh.
Doms and Trade. Congratulations.
I'm glad you said that because I would have butchered that name, to be honest. I would have no idea how to pronounce that.
Right, let's do another one. Make it more longer. Here we go. So congrats, Doms and Raid. Oh, it's going to be Maeve and another win.
No, it's not, is it? It is.
Yeah.
She emailed when she searched. I can't remember what it was that you ordered, Maeve. I don't know if it was a mug or a hat, but you then said, literally this week, I'm coming back for my hoodie. So we don't have a hoodie, but you can have a t-shirt instead this week.
Yeah. Awesome. Fantastic. That's it. I think the only thing to mention left is that we have next week's shows coming up. So we have next Tuesday, same time, same channel. We have insights from Wayback Machine. So we're going to go a little bit more depth about what we look out for Wayback Machine. That's on Age Domain Tuesday. So that's in reference to age domains. So we're going to go into detail into some of the things we look at about Wayback Machine and what it is, and essentially. And then on Thursday, next week's website investing show, we have Tales from the Community. So we're inviting people to come onto the show and tell us about how they're doing with their site, and that's for anybody who's a newbie or a veteran in building websites and building online properties and participating in website investing. So if you're interested in being on the show, we'll probably get as many people on as we can, do 5 to 10 minutes each. So if you're interested in participating in next week's website investing show, drop us a message, head over to the Niche Website Builders website. Drop a message into the chat or onto the contact form, and we'll be sure to try and get you onto the show. Also do the same if you won the merch. I meant to say that actually to Dom. I know Maeve knows what to do now, but Dom, get onto niche website.builders. That's the website, that's the URL. go to the chat or the contact form and just drop the team a message, and we'll get the merch of your choice sent out to you. And Niche Lifestyle Show. So it's a show on Wednesdays. It's an hour before this one, depending on where you are in the world. And it rotates on the Niche Website Builders channel, Doug Cunnington's channel, and Alex Cooper's channel. So all of their links are in the description if you want to sign up to those and not miss a show, but we rotate it each week. So next week it is on the Niche Website Builders channel, and it's what we learned from making money online. That's the topic for that show. Nothing else to add on that?
No. No,
Cool.
all good.
Last reminder then of the Building Empires event on 7th to 9th of June. Free to register, building.empires.live. We've got some awesome speakers. Check them out on there. Once you've registered, you'll be able to choose the sessions you're interested in. You'll get email reminders, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's free to register. So head over. Great. No more last minute questions. Then thank you, everybody. Look forward to seeing you again next week.
Mark, I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow in person. All right. See you.